Cyrus was careful to remit the tribute due to the king from the cities which belonged to Tissaphernes. A third army was being collected for him in the Chersonese, over by Abydos, the origin of which was as follows. There was a Lacedaemonian exile named Clearchus, with whom Cyrus had become associated. Cyrus admired the man, and made him a present of 10,000 darics. Clearchus took the gold, and with the money raised an army, and using the Chersonese as his base of operations, set out to fight the Thracians north of the Hellespont, in the interests of the Greeks, and with such a happy result that the Hellespontine cities, of their own accord, were eager to contribute funds for the support of his troops. In this way again, an army was being secretly maintained for Cyrus. Then there was the Thessalian Aristippus, Cyrus's friend, who, under pressure of the rival political party at home, had come to Cyrus and asked him to pay for 2,000 mercenaries to be continued for 3 months, which would enable him, he said, to gain the upper hand over his opponents. Cyrus replied by presenting him with 6 months' pay for 4,000 mercenaries, only stipulating that Aristippus should not come to terms with his opponents without final consultation with himself. In this way he secured for himself the secret maintenance of a 4th army. Further, he bade Proxenus, a Boeotian, who was another friend, get together as many men as possible, and join him in an expedition which he desired against the Pisidians, who were causing annoyance to his territory. Similarly, 2 other friends, Sophinetus, the Stymphalian, and Socrates the Achaean, had orders to get together as many men as possible and come to him, since he was on the point of opening a campaign, along with Milesian exiles, against Tissaphernes. These orders were duly carried out by the officers in question. Chapter 2. But when the right moment seemed to him to have come, at which he should begin his march into the interior, the pretext which he put forward was his desire to expel the Pisidians utterly out of the country, and he began collecting both his Asiatic and his Greek arms, supposedly against that people. From Sardis in each direction his orders sped, to Clearchus, to join him there with the whole of his army, to Aristippus, to come to terms with those at home, and to dispatch to him the troops in his employ, to Xenius the Arcadian, who was acting as general-in-chief of the foreign troops in the cities, to present himself with all the men available, excepting only those who were actually needed to garrison the citadels. He next summoned the troops at present engaged in the siege of Miletus, and called upon the exiles to follow him on his intended expedition, promising them that if he were successful in his object, he would not pause until he had reinstated them in their native city. To this invitation they hearkened gladly. They believed in him, and with their arms they presented themselves at Sardis. So, too, Xenius arrived at Sardis with the contingent from the cities, 4,000 hoplites. Proxenus also, with 1,500 hoplites and 500 light-armed troops. Sophinetus the Stymphalian, with 1,000 hoplites. Socrates the Achaean, with 500 hoplites, while the Megarian Pasian came with 300 hoplites and 300 peltasts. This latter officer, as well as Socrates, belonged to the force engaged against Miletus. These all joined him at Sardis. But Tissaphernes did not fail to note these proceedings. A force so large pointed to something more than an invasion of Pisidia. So he argued, and with whatever speed he might, he set off to the king, attended by about 500 horsemen. The king, on his side, had no sooner heard from Tissaphernes of Cyrus's great forces than he began to make counter-preparations. Thus Cyrus, with the troops which I have named, set out from Sardis, and marched on through Lydia 3 stages, completing 22 parasangs, to the river Meander. That river is 200 feet broad, and was spanned by a bridge consisting of 7 boats. Crossing it, he marched through Phrygia, a single stage of 8 parasangs, to Colossae, an inhabited city, prosperous and large. Here he remained 7 days.